And we're live with the Yahawashi News Network. I'm Ron Harris, and this is Jason Laufenberg. I'm doing pretty good, with all crappy realm things aside. I'm glad that we're able to break some of this stuff tonight, and I like the whole Yahawashi News Network stuff. And we're live with Yahawashi News. I owe you $10. I guess I had my phone still playing. But how are you, and how's everybody in the chat? How's everybody not in the chat?
Prop this up as, other than just being the psyop it is. And so who knows? When are we going to hear from Trump? Tomorrow's 11/11.
If you could start that over again. We had an OBS glitch. Thank you to Yahawa's daughter for quickly letting us know that the sound was down. People are probably like, what are these two guys doing? And another good reason why we're on my channel for this week is that we're working out this whole news network thing. And I think that just about means that, we're definitely going to have some mistakes. So stick with us. So I would like to rewind what you said. Can you start again? I'm sorry. Epic fail.
Let's do the do-over. So what I was doing was thanking everybody for being here. I consider this group of people very special, considering that most people are probably just familiar with the Awake Souls channel. They obviously, not everybody that's subbed to the Awake Souls channel is subbed to yours, because there's a discrepancy in numbers. So the people that are over here are very special to us. I was letting people know that once I can start using Awake Souls again, we'll take all these hangouts that we've done here and we'll upload them. But you guys will have already seen them. You'll know all about this, and a special group of you will have already made your statement in the chat. Unfortunately, in the upload over to Awake Souls, we're not going to have that chat, but unless if I premiere them. So if I premiere them, then people would have the opportunity to come in and do a chat on it as well. So maybe we'll do that. That'll be some time, because these are, almost like 2-hour hangouts that we do, and to have that chat will be in there. I don't mind doing it, because this right here is the most fun that I can possibly have in this world right now. Like, everything else has been taken away from us, but we still have our ability to live stream, our ability to share truth right now, even though it looks like that amount of time is limited.
They're waiting for me to speak in the chat to see if my sound is okay. Can you hear me? Because I couldn't agree with Jason anymore. I think the truth is that they took us down. They gave you a strike because there was a pivotal video that we did exposing the fake transition team, which is now their go-ahead. We know that the entire thing is just nothing but a joke. What else could there be better to do than to come on here, share a smile, try to share a laugh, and to go over the truth, and to talk about the truth, and to be lights to the rest of the nations. And that's what our goal has been. I like the whole news idea. Keeping it light and actually giving a true breakdown of what's going on is something that I feel that we could have a really good, easy time doing. And I didn't blast this one out that much. I didn't like. I just figured we would go live. I shared it, but I didn't blast it out to 45 different groups. So it'll be interesting to see how many people actually shared it. Not like I don't ever want to talk to you again if you didn't share it. It's not like that. We do what we do because we do it for the love of it, and we're warm voices and comforting brothers to many people out there, and looking forward to having Yahawa's daughter with us on the team soon. And yeah, so we've got, what do we got? This is an interesting night. We've got some funny stuff planned for you. We've got the Secretary of State, when he has come out and said. We've got some new buzz catchwords. We've got Operation Scoreboard and Hammer. Is that correct?
Operation Hammer, Operation Scoreboard, and Operation Dominion.
As we pull the rug out from underneath the liars and deceivers, right?
So that pull the rug, that hashtag right there is something that Ronnie and I have grabbed first. I feel that this is probably going to be the key hashtag to this whole election, because I do believe that the whole thing is going to be a rug pull, and we're just going to continue to show all the evidence of why we would make such a prediction. Tonight's got more. We've been talking about keywords, these buzzwords that once you hear this word and you start paying attention, chances are, as you're doing your research, going through your links, however you do it, you're going to hear Hammer, Scorecard, Dominion coming up here in the next couple of days really big. We catch these things right hot off the press, and we turn them around, flip them to the audience to make them aware of them, because this is how they do it. This is how they telegraph everything. This is how they let the people in their psyops know what's taking place. And it's also their way of saying that in the end, when something's taken place, like, this is their justification for it. That, well, this and this and this, it was all laid out there. We put it out there for you. If you're too dumb to see it, you deserve what you get. That's what we've heard from, Chris Geo and all Team Satan, all those types of people. So yeah, we'll go through Rick Wiles. We haven't been paying attention to him for a while. He was the big guy when it was Davos and right before the
Cerveza
bug, that he was the guy behind all that. And so we're going to be going through his hangout. He's going to make all these connections. He knows all of these guys, the Breitbarts, the Glenn Becks, the Christian Broadcasting News, because he's all a part of that. He's got the media credentials to be at Davos. Like, he's even like leagues ahead of Fox and CNN and stuff like that. So we'll go through, we'll cover some of that stuff. It should be a fun night. It's just basically the stuff that we've picked up on that we can tell is going to be used in the headlines over and over and over coming forward here. We're just getting out ahead of it, letting everybody know about it so that they know Team Yahawashi has the ability to read between the lines, see through the psyops, and be able to make accurate predictions based on the propaganda that's being spread.
Yeah, like we've always told everyone, we heard from the top level Satanists, is that they love to tell you everything. They put their whole story out there. They show you all the moves. And if you're too stupid to see it, they think you deserve to get what you get. And we're the team that says, no, you're going to get it back 7 times harder, because we're not only going to call you out, we're going to not agree with you, and we're going to be your worst enemy. You're going to dream nightmares about us, each and every one of you.
That's the reason why they threw us a community guideline strike on calling out. So it was that Milli Vanilli, and it was all the all the SJWs that were organized together to the transition team is essentially what they were. Soros funded radical groups to be the transition team to twist things over to Biden. So that hangout's down, right? So that's the reason why we're not on Awake Souls right now. That hangout, YouTube just took it away. Hopefully somebody out there may have downloaded it. If they did, please send us a link. It'd be nice to have it. We didn't save that hangout. So
Yeah, I know. I played a sad trombone. They gave us a strike. So I don't know if you want to start with the screen share or do you want me to start with the screen share? I would like to stay on camera all night, but we can't. We've got to go through the content. We will be working on maybe a new type of thing, but until we have a better studio setup, we can't really screen share. At least, I can't screen share and be on the camera with Jason at the same time. We can if we're doing the news network on our own. Fortunately, we're doing it as a team right now. So I do really go ahead.
Yeah, that is an announcement to let people know that. Considering that, Rick Wiles and his news coup that he's going to be talking about, that we're going to be covering, that we're the true news coup, right? That so it looks like we may be thrust into more of like reporter news type coverage, world events, stuff like that, and so we're going to upgrade. We're going to upgrade what we do with the studio. You'll probably see new graphics, a new presentation style, new music. We're going to start working on this, and then hopefully by 2021 we'll be able to just roll out some super blinged out news coverage type stuff where we have fun with it. Like it's we know we're not the actor type media guys. We're just the YouTubers that know how to pay attention to the right stuff and make sense of it.
And again, like, super thankful to everyone that's tuning in. Heartfelt, loving prayers for everyone. I know this realm is just so effing messed up. I'm not gonna really swear, but sometimes I want to. And I hope I can somehow be some sort of a relief for the other people on the other side of the screen. I know Jason as well. We're thankful that you tuned in. So, I don't know, do you want to start off with the screen share?
I can do it.
It's all up to you. Let me get
if you want to
I got something for I'll play this. Thank you for tuning in to the Yahawashi News Network. Your top news and information regarding simulation reality, Christianity, and the Flat Earth proofs. And you're good to go.
Hello, everybody. So, just want to point out something. This is always breaking, cutting edge stuff off of Godlike Productions. Breaking huge Democrat whistleblower has come forward in Michigan. So we're starting to hear the tide turn. This has been this long no response from the right regarding the stolen election, but it does appear that they're starting to turn it a little bit. It's interesting so this Michelle 6.0 at Trump Rules, RULZZ, this video that's up here, I just want to point out here, this is Newsmax. You see this right here? Newsmax. This is going to be a topic tonight. Rick Wiles is going to call out Newsmax. He's going to make the associations of who runs Newsmax and really what they're all about and that kind of stuff. So news coverage is really going to be a key issue going forward. And I'm going to start making a prediction that Trump is going to somehow like overthrow or take over the media. That's going to be part of of what's going down here, you would think it's almost gonna be necessary. Most people think that he has to do it because if he wants to come out and share his information about how the election was stolen and everybody's cutting them off, the narrative is being set up for a government takeover of the media. And like people, the Q tards, the Trump tards, the right-wing tards, they're probably going to all be for it. Yeah, Trump, go take over the media. Go take over the media. I'm worried about that because what we're going to do going forward is I also want to put together like a big flow chart that's like the 30,000, 40,000, 50,000 foot view over this whole Trump political psyop that's been taking place for, the last 4 years. And keep everything in perspective. Who's friends with who's been supporting who's on whose team, and keep that all straight, because everything that's been going on has been designed to muddy all that. The Satanists have flipped and flipped and flipped and flipped things so many times that people are so lost they just can't make sense of what's right and what's wrong right now. Do you want me to go into the True News clip now, or did you want to play any of your clips?
Well, you've got the Snopes articles, right? Or did you? You know what? Maybe we should switch it.
Yeah.
Or you could do the True News, and then we can go into my article, and then we can go back into yours.
All right. Well, I'll share again. All right. So we've got these Snopes articles.
No, I need the True News.
I know. I'm just letting people know. These tie in. So we'll be referencing these because the keywords of Dominion and Hammer and Scorecard are going to be things that are going to be coming up in the True News Hangout. So there's stuff that we can skip through in True News that's not necessary. And maybe we can run this at, let's say, 1.25. See how that works for people. Let's get Rick in his prologue here. He had a bad teleprompter read during this too. Felt bad for him.
He's not perfect. Are we going to go through the whole thing? We'll just skip it.
Well, no, I just said that we don't have to listen to the whole thing, but we want to catch a number of this because he's got so much insight. He talks about, having been at Davos, going to Israel, all these things. The other people, he knows all the connections. He knows who was paid by who, and there's the Newsmax connection that he goes into. But some of these areas we'll jump ahead.
Republic of the United States of America fell last week in a communist revolution. The revolutionaries employed the same tactics and strategies on the American people as the CIA has used on countries around the world. The tactics and strategies are designed to confuse the public, deceive the public, frighten the public, and cause the general population to voluntarily submit to the demands of the revolution. The 2020 un-American revolution was led by a cabal of globalist billionaires, social media technology companies, news media propagandists, anarchists, and hardcore Marxist revolutionaries. Time will eventually reveal that the revolution has conspirators embedded deeply in federal, state, and local government agencies. And the biggest shock to come will be that the revolution was orchestrated and funded by the Chinese Communist Party. The coming weeks will become turbulent and chaotic if the truth is told to the American people. Tens of millions of American patriots know that more than the election was stolen. Our country was stolen from us. We are told that the next president is a man who, along with his drug and sex addicted son, has sold their souls to the Chinese Communist Party. President Trump was clearly winning re-election on Tuesday night, November 3rd. Like 2016, when the vote counting mysteriously stopped in Pennsylvania for several hours. It happened again last week. The difference this time was Mr. Trump was suddenly losing when the vote counting restarted in the early hours of Wednesday morning. The news Nazis went into action immediately to cover up the massive theft and evidence of the biggest heist in history, the theft of a nation's soul. A tired and baffled President Trump went before the American people on Thursday night to say that the election was stolen.
The theft of a nation's soul?
Poor Trump. He's tired, embattled, and...
Oh, it's like, and the way they've been portraying Trump with the puppy dog eyes and the big lip and the way they've been showing it, right? It's just, and then he comes out and says the death of the nation's soul. And it's like, come on, man, it's kangaroo court. They're both fake. It's all planned. Everything's staged. Come on.
Poorly written and poorly read.
The news Nazis shut down his video feed and publicly called him a liar.
They can try to steal the election from us. If you count the votes that came in late, we're looking at them very strongly, but a lot of votes came in late. I've already decisively won many critical states, including massive victories in Florida, Iowa, Indiana, Ohio.
Okay, here we are again in the unusual position of not only interrupting the President of the United States, but correcting the President of the United States.
All right, so once again, interruption. Across the board, we have Fox interrupting, we have MSNBC interrupting, everybody's cutting them off. This is just pure theater. It's ridiculous. I don't know who that they're trying to play this off to, because anybody that's got any common sense can see that this is scripted, part of an agenda. Like, to cut the president off like that, not allow him to speak, it's absurd. It's retarded.
Don't go far, given that you are our chief legal correspondent. There are no illegal votes that we know of.
About tens of millions of unsolicited ballots without any verification measures whatsoever.
Well, we're interrupting this because what the President of the United States is saying, in large part, is absolutely untrue.
The President.
All right, so the fact checking. This is a big part of what's going on. You know, oh, let's see, we're on True News right now. If you're on YouTube, you'll probably see the banner underneath our hangout. So the fact checking, the Snopes, the checkmark verified Twitters, YouTubes, all that kind of stuff. It should become obvious to all of you that if you see that, what it's saying is not true. It's hiding the truth. It should become very obvious.
Of the United States addressing the American people for the first time, claiming that if you count the legal votes, I easily win. Nancy Cordes is with us. There were a couple of statements that the president made. Do you have a fact check?
Yes, on a number of fronts, Nora. First of all, he said, if you count the legal votes, I win.
We got a pause there? What happened?
If you count the illegal votes, Joe Biden.
Do you have a
first of all,
fact
we don't
check?
have any indication that there are any substantive number of illegal votes out there. Then he said that he's going to be looking very closely at votes that came in late. Well, votes that were postmarked by Election Day in most states are not late. So that was another falsehood.
We're watching President Trump speaking live from the White House, and we have to interrupt here because the president has made a number of false statements, including the notion that there has been fraudulent voting. There has been no evidence of that. Allegations by his campaign, but his campaign spokespeople unable to provide any evidence.
But there's been a lot of
Not
shenanigans.
able to provide any evidence. Well, isn't it obvious that they haven't been trying to provide the evidence? They even tried to let people know that they have evidence yet. Isn't it obvious that they haven't been saying anything and that they're waiting to share this?
Can't stand for that in our country.
As he was talking, I was trying to reach out to some senior Republicans to ask when the intervention is going to happen, because this isn't just partisan. This isn't just dangerous. It's nonsensical.
President Trump retweeted on Saturday that he had won the election by a large margin. The news Nazis responded to the president's claim of victory by rushing to proclaim Joe Biden as the president-elect of the United States of America. Our Constitution does not empower the news media to proclaim who won the presidency. That is the constitutional duty of the states of the Union. Yet, they brazenly told the world that they alone had the power to decide
So Rick
who won the
gets
election.
the ding dong right there. It should be obvious to everybody that the media doesn't call the election. There's an electoral process that's actually
That was really loud. Sorry.
written in the law, right?
You got that winning bell? You're the winner. Winning, winning, winning. Continue, sorry.
After 4 long, tense days, we've reached a historic moment in this election. We can now project the winner of the presidential race. CNN projects Joseph R. Biden Jr. is elected the 46th president of the United States.
NBC News now projects that Joe Biden has won the Keystone State,
So the key
Pennsylvania,
word to be
and
listening
its
for
20
through all this is projection. Projection.
electoral votes.
And that means we can now
project that former Vice President Joe Biden will win Pennsylvania and Nevada, putting him over the 270 electoral votes he needs to become the 46th president.
Okay, we have an announcement to make. Joe Biden is president-elect.
We're able to make this projection because CNN projects Biden wins Pennsylvania.
It was a surreal moment on Saturday when the news Nazis united simultaneously to anoint Joe Biden the winner. An eerie feeling came over me as I realized that Saturday was November 7. It was the anniversary of the Jewish-led Bolshevik
So
Revolution
this is something that we
takeover.
don't have in the title of our hangout. We didn't have room for it. We just sort of covered what we could. But Rick is going to make the connection to the Bolshevik Revolution. And so take it away, Rick.
Of Christian Russia on November 7, 1917.
So can we get a pause? I just want to point out, so socialism and all this and the Bolshevik Revolution and all that was actually brought in by the Ashkenazi crew.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they're going to blame the Germans or the Russians or what it is that Rick's really driving at here, and he's somehow trying to relate this to what's happening in the USA. It's absolutely nothing. It's not even close, even though there might be some Ashkenazis thrown in there. But it's...
Yes. So, I mean, in general terms, what did Russia have? They had some Christians,
Yes.
and the Bolsheviks, the Marxists, communists, they wanted to overthrow them and have control of that whole land. So they organized their revolution, and it really became about killing Christians and bringing in socialism and Marxism. And they were mostly successful. Right? So what Rick is connecting right now is the Bolshevik Revolution with what took place with the announcing of Biden as president. They came on the same day. This is one of the things that we've come to look for and understand, that this is the way the enemy operates. They pick these key certain days and then they line things up on them over and over and over. I just want to point out that when you see troops marching around and cameras filming them march around, but you don't see actual bloodshed, what you're watching is just a Freemason movie. They set up the TV cameras, the movie cameras, they all dress up in their little zoot suits that they have, and they march around, and then they spread this propaganda out to the masses, and people buy it. Not to say that they didn't kill Christians, because they did.
They slaughtered a lot of people. The Ukraine, There was like a trail that supposedly it was just blood from the trucks where they were taking the people to be buried. And the mass graves, I do believe, have been found. It's not like the fake holes that were added and they said Zyklon B was used, and none of that was real. There's no evidence.
No, but they do hate the Christians, and they do kill those.
True News has warned the American people for years that an evil cabal has been plotting the downfall of the American Republic. With the help of the Chinese Communist Party, they succeeded last Tuesday. After recovering from the shock of the takeover, I cannot be silent. I am not fighting for President Trump, although I truly believe he was defeated through fraud and corruption.
Quick talk about this cabal that he didn't name. Name the cabal, Rick. Since you won't, we'll do it. It's the core group is this Illuminati 13 bloodline Ashkenazi Kabbalistic Vatican run group of Satanists. And it can be said that the key people throughout those different factions are the fallen ones, fallen demons, or being controlled by them.
I am not fighting for the Republican Party. I am fighting for my 10 grandchildren who will not live in a land of freedom and liberty if we do not overcome this communist takeover in the next several months. Doc Burkhart is away this week, getting some well-deserved rest with his wife. Matt Scow is sitting in for Doc along with Edward Saul. Gentlemen, it is a different... we're in a different paradigm this week.
I just want to point out that even when Doc's gone, Edward Zoll still gets third seat. He doesn't get to move up, right?
Nope.
Clearly, a well-planned, well-choreographed, well-executed, and well-funded revolution took place not just last week, throughout 2020. They started 2020 with a biological warfare attack
So
from
Rick's
China,
making it sound like it's some sort of real biological warfare. This is a weapon.
which then shut down the American economy.
Gave them the money and power to carry out their next step.
But it was a shock to the American people to suddenly have a pandemic thrust on them, to be told that millions could die. That's what we were told last March. Millions would die. We had to go into lockdown, destroyed our economy. Tens of millions of people put out of work. Businesses have gone bankrupt.
And then the blame was put on Trump.
And then then President Trump was blamed for this disaster. They knew that the Trump economy was red hot. They had to destroy the economy in order to defeat President Trump.
Remember we talked about how, going into this election, how do they defeat him? Like, what do they have to stand on? Well, the one thing was, how do they stop this mega train of growth? Record job employment was a record low. How could they do that? I didn't have an idea.
I know. I mean, the only thing I could think of is, they'd have to do a stock market crash or something like that.
Ronnie and I, as soon as Biden was announced as the projected winner, saw that this hit at the weekend, and we're like, okay, so the market's closed. We're waiting for Monday. Monday morning comes along, and all of a sudden the market skyrockets off of news that Pfizer has a jab for us. So Rick's talking about a market crash, a big dump, and we know that we're due for one of those. We had one of those in 2008, and everybody's waiting for it. They know that the asset bubbles are super inflated, the derivatives, all that kind of stuff. So what we're looking for is the massive super, they've done the super pump, then they'll do the super dump, and then they'll do the super cheap buyback. This is the way the Rothschilds got rich, is by planning these large market events and doing the timing. So Rick's talking about the big market crash, and we should be watching for that.
True. And that just seemed unrealistic that Wall Street would
You want to add anything else, brother?
Well, no, it's just that he predicted the coronavirus thing, right, way before it happened, and it came to fruition. Not saying that he's some sort of prophet. He was at Davos, right, where they planned all this crap. So if He's saying it's going to drop. It's probably going to drop.
Okay, let's implode the society
that they're making money on.
What we didn't anticipate was a biological warfare attack from communist China.
Exactly.
And so there were accomplices in this government in the United States of America. I believe Dr. Anthony Fauci is one of them. I believe his fingerprints are all over COVID, that he was participating with the Chinese.
Fauci is Trump's boy. All right, that's Trump. It's not like Trump has to have Fauci. It's Trump's boy.
I'd like to know how many times Fauci went to Wuhan, China.
It's a lab that his agency funded.
Yes. He definitely helped fund through U.S. taxpayer money the experiments on coronavirus using bats. Nobody has questioned Fauci about his involvement. But we're looking back and we see how this was a carefully planned, choreographed takeover. Then, right after the biological attack, then we have racial riots.
Yes.
Suddenly, Black Lives Matter appears. Okay, a Marxist-funded organization, hardcore Marxist, just happens to be run by a Jewish woman who.
So he's got the insight on this.
I have to play the.
Do you want the screen share?
Oh no, I can do it.
Okay.
I can do it. I just wanted to play. He said that when he said the J word, I wanted to do the prices. I wasn't quick enough, people. I'm sorry. You can keep going.
Yeah, so he's making the connections here. He's got more connections to make. He knows.
Was a violent revolutionary decades ago, still is today, but has a police record, okay, who wants to kill police officers.
And when those protesters go to jail, who was setting up a GoFundMe account for him? Oh, Miss Harris was doing that.
So money was there to spring these.
Miss Harris was doing that. So I guess that's a reference to Vice President-elect.
People from jail. Then Antifa showed up. Once again, a Jewish-funded terrorist organization started by Jews in the 1930s, okay? So this is all choreographed, all planned. They hit the American people. 1, 2, 3, they just kept punching the American people. Biological warfare attack, racial riots, anarchists, fires in the cities. Hate the cops, shoot the cops, kill the cops.
It's Trump's fault. Yes. Trump's a racist. Trump's killing us with COVID. Everything just to keep hitting us in body blows until you just want it to end.
Yes.
You just want it to stop.
And that was the strategy. Vote Democrat or we burn down the country.
There was no plan like my tax breaks or I'm going to do this. It was, we just want to stop the attack on us, on our businesses, on our livelihood. That's what it was.
It's Marxist revolutionaries.
Voting for Biden, he said that he's going to shut everything down. So there's no congruency in their arguments whatsoever.
Tactics.
It's foot soldiers, yes.
Yes. To wear people down to the point that what do they want? Just give them what they want. I just want to be able to go home, watch TV. I don't want all this trouble. That's where millions of people were at. Psychologically, I don't even know if they even realized that they were thinking that way. They just wanted the chaos to stop in the country.
You mentioned the Bolshevik Revolution. Reading about that today, Rick, just in short, did you know that the monarchy, the Tsar, had actually compromised with the Bolsheviks? They'd stepped down and they'd set in a provisional government. That was the compromise.
Yes.
Then Lenin said, okay, got it. Now
it's a sign of weakness. And then what did they do? What did they do to the Tsar and his family?
Well, they put them in Ekaterinburg, the basement of this royal villa. They're holding them in a prison. They dressed them in their nicest clothes, put them next to a wall, shot them to pieces, and then drew in blood numbers and messages as a form of gematria and Kabbalah.
All right, so now he's going off on the gematria, Kabbalah. These people were lined up, shot. They're going to take the blood, do satanic symbols. So, yes, everybody, you should know and understand that the communist Marxists are Satanists. Satanists, and they hate people with righteous hearts.
About a ritual sacrifice of the royal families. They brought in this cold curtain.
Shot the children.
Cold curtain? Is that a CC reference?
Yes, it was.
A blood ritual.
And then Rick's got to add, shot the children too. He's like...
The children had to watch their adult relatives be slaughtered, and then they slaughtered the children. Okay, so let's come back. That's Russia. November 7, 1917, just happened to be Saturday when the revolution declared Joe Biden the president of the United States. Where did they get the power to do that? The news media. Where did they get the power? They have no power. But they told the world, Joe Biden's the president. And the whole world goes, oh, did you hear the news? Joe Biden won.
Well,
Says who?
Even before that, they primed the public to accept the victory because, remember, it was, there's a 4% chance he'll win. Why even have the election? He has 4% to win. Right. So they're priming us.
That was another part of the polls, were another part of the psychological warfare against the American people.
Administrated by the media. That is who is priming the public.
So if anybody doesn't understand that the polls are just made up fake numbers that the media uses to control people's minds, these guys are, reconfirming it for you.
There's the Drudge report all of a sudden just switches out of nowhere. And
where did Drudge go?
A takeover, or he's part of the plan? I want to know.
Drudge either sold out or he's part of it.
I mean, it was so obvious that the news, because we used to look at Drudge all the time and say, I want to see what's going on, and it was, I would say it's right-leaning for sure, but it wasn't overly like just a publication just for right.
Well, Drudge might have done what he did in the 2007-2008 election, where he actually helped the Clintons. People don't know this, but it just came.
So Edward's going to do the deep reveal here of Drudge's help of the Clintons. Let's get his reveal a little bit slower.
On a new book about Matt Drudge, he worked with the very Clintons that he worked to expose in 2000. That's what made Matt Drudge famous. Well, Matt Drudge in that election, the election that brought Barack Obama to win the primary for the Democrats and eventually win the presidency, he worked with the Clintons. Could he have worked with the Bidens here, compromised, or sold it? It's the proof is in the pudding. Look at the website.
Maybe he was controlled opposition the entire time.
Says the controlled opposition. Look at that look on his face. Come on. I'll give him the old ring-a-ding.
Maybe he was. But then they'll come up with a whole bunch of all these excuses to let him off the hook.
That's what I suspect. Now let's take a look at
one thing, maybe they have something on them, like they do so many of our politicians.
Possibly.
That's just another. I mean,
Drudge is a good guy, but he's compromised by being a bad guy.
Look at this.
Or maybe they just offered him $500 million or $1 billion for the Drudge report, and he sold it.
Possibly too.
We don't know.
No, he's admitted that he still owns it. We heard it from Mark Dice, right? Or I can't remember who we heard it from, but we heard it. Yahawashi News Network heard it. He still owns the Drudge.
There was a total change. Complete.
Rick said it. Sorry. The truth of it is that he's the controlled opposition. He's leading people to a narrative where they think he's against Trump, but he's doing exactly what the Trump team wants him to do. So was Rick.
Well, yeah, eventually in this, he's going to link himself to that entire team. They all started at the same time.
Change, and we're seeing it with Fox News.
Exactly.
Fox News has now moved to the left. Let's look at what the leftists are doing on the left coast in Oregon. So this is Oregon Live. Protesters.
So the protester thing, I think we can skip through. Let's.
Shadow.
Oh, come on, let me skip, please. No.
I was like, well, why would they? They
part of the rich
one.
Look, paints it all over on the court. I mean, they saw how quick they laid down.
That's right.
I mean, quick.
People submitted. They were
multi-billion dollar industries.
Terrified of the revolution. We've got some video of the anarchists smashing windows and painting graffiti on the Democratic Party headquarters.
So we've got some, this is the Democrat headquarters. We've got some broken windows and some satanic graffiti on walls. And this is all like, oh, why would they do that? Well, here's the people that they supposedly arrested for it. And I think this is just boring PSYOP material. But it's not skipping forward.
Look like white
playing out.
This was
pioneer. That's
we don't
racist.
Want Biden. We want revenge. They want blood.
That's what they want.
Yeah,
that's why revenge is in blood there. That's what they want. They want blood.
And
see, all these banners that are created like this, these are groups. The organized groups. They come out, this is all pre-planned. This picture is taken, and then True News runs with it.
The revenge in the Bolshevik Revolution was killing of anyone.
And we're in a time period now where everybody's faces are covered as well.
as opposed to the revolution.
So once again, True News has been right. We warned the American people that
Not as right as Team Yahawashi has been.
they will not stop if they win the election. They will continue. They want blood. They want revenge. This is the face of the real Democratic Party.
They want that A in that circle. That's what they want.
Anarchy. So, number 9, this is New York Post. The most famous progressive socialist in American politics, AOC, is facing heat for wanting to archive online posts by Trump supporters.
Oh, like a hit list.
Yes. It's called the Trump Accountability Project. And if you don't think that this exists, just Google the term Trump Accountability Project, and you'll find out how many leftist organizations are actively tracking Trump supporters for revenge.
You know what? That project is.
No, I just want to point out, because we're flipping the script. This is hashtag pull the rug. When you have somebody like AOC talk about archiving like the right-leaning posts, this is actually about archiving the leftist Antifa, that group posts, because we've heard from other sources that like the redneck Trump-loving people, they're so fed up with the satanic left that they really want to hunt them down and take them out. So it really is going to be like the right archiving the left in order to hunt them down, because this is all about hashtag pull the rug.
Is run by a former Barack Obama staffer.
Yes.
Do they want to paint big T's on them like the star was painted?
No, they're going to make sure you lose your job, that you can't get education, you can't get a job, you can't get a promotion.
Or maybe you need to go to a re-education camp.
Well, that would be the next thing, Matt. But these people, this is serious. We got a tweet here from AOC.
So this is what Alexander Ocasio-Cortez tweeted on November 6th. Is anyone archiving these Trump sycophants for when they try to downplay or deny?
So I'm going to say right now that this is another word, a key word, archiving. Archiving. Chances are you're probably going to hear more about archiving soon.
Their complicity in the future. I foresee decent probability of many deleted tweets, writings, photos in the future. That's a member, an elected member at that, of the U.S. government, saying we need to create lists of what she says are sycophants, but really, it's anyone left of a communist revolution.
You know how she gained this much power too? The media. The media
They
propped
made
her up.
They created her.
The media caused her to gain this much power.
Well, when you read that New York Times, or not New York Times, New York Post article about the archives of Trump supporters, the information that's in that article is chilling, because these leftist Democrats are now saying we have to make sure that anybody who supported Donald Trump is punished, is dealt with, is that we can prevent them from going.
So remember, flip the script. This is going to go back against the leftists, the cheaters. They're going to be exposed.
Anywhere in society.
And you know why? Because they thought differently than they do. That's it. They think they do not line up exactly every word that they believe you must believe, or we're going to.
Well, who's that sound like, Matt? What does that sound like?
Any revolutionary dictator from the last century that killed hundreds of millions of people? That's just how it starts. This is how it starts. It starts one by one. We're going to brand this group. And then when they get into power, guess what happens? They come after you. It's not, they don't just back down like Trump did with lock her up. He could have locked her up. He didn't.
These people will.
These people will lock you up.
And they, not only will they, if they could lock up President Trump, they would lock up everybody who supported him.
Gulags, right?
So there's nobody locking up Trump or his supporters. It's going to be the other way around.
Education camps.
If you think, well, that's just the fringe of the Democratic Party, that's not Joe Biden, that's not Kamala Harris, that they're more responsible. They would never go after people for their views. Look at this next article.
Now, this is from the Biden-Harris transition website. On it, they've promised executive orders, and one of them is establishing a new task force on, quote, online harassment and abuse to focus on the connection between mass shootings, online harassment, extremism, and violence against women.
I don't remember this spot this morning watching.
Yeah, I don't know if you went this far in this one, but so this is, in addition, President Biden will, then bold letters right here. It's all the key trigger words to set off, the right type people. All right, we're going to take your guns. We're going to online harassment, extremism. So this is the setup. Biden, bad guy. Like, nobody wants this. Nobody voted for this.
A task force makes me think of the FBI. It makes me think of officers, federal officers at that. And what do federal officers do when they found people they deem are criminals? Well, they arrest them, so they raid their home.
So, Edward, they're setting the stage for hate crimes, thought crimes, hate speech, thought crimes. Just like in Europe now, people are waking up to a SWAT team standing in their bedroom with guns because they posted something online that upset some leftist or offended some politician.
You know what else that's scary?
I haven't seen any evidence of anything like that. I think that's a reach. But it could come. I'm not saying it couldn't come, but I don't see any real evidence of that type of stuff taking place yet.
Scary on there. When I see mass shootings, that's what I remember from Barack Obama's presidency. How many mass shootings, all monthly, were we having to get away the guns? They were using that over and over.
Using it? They were orchestrating it.
Well, that's the core, that mass shooting part. Think about the manifestos, the alleged manifesto these mass shootings produced. The shooters, they're going to say, were inspired by certain people, Candace Owens, right-wing figures, conservative artists, conservative writers. They're going to say those folks are actually in cahoots with the shooters. That's what this task force is going to look into.
And as well, when we had those fake anarchists or whatever try to kidnap the governor in Michigan.
Yeah, Governor Winter.
They were not like white supremacists. They were anarchists.
Yes.
And the media will use whatever tactics to shape the narrative where you will believe, oh man, those militia guys are real scary, huh?
Yeah, let's see if those people ever go to prison.
No, they're paid for.
What I suspect is that they'll be quietly released. No.
He's done this so many times. When Rick talks like this, it makes me think that he's actually the guy that funded that PSYOP, that he hired those actors, brought in that TV crew, and ran that propaganda. Just the way he behaves each time he talks like this.
Nobody will even remember the story.
Just like everyone who before the coronavirus pandemic.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about the election fraud. Joe Biden told us before the election that he had assembled the world's greatest, biggest, most massive voter fraud organization in history. The guy just blurted it out.
It was like an "oh no, Joe" moment.
Yeah. But Joe told us. Here's Joe in his own words.
So this is like Bob Nodell saying, if this information got out, this would ruin flat Earth. So like Joe Biden, he gives it all away in like camera footage. People, please understand that this is all part of a setup.
We're in a situation where we have put together, and you guys did it for our the President Obama's administration before this. We have put together, I think, the most extensive and inclusive voter fraud organization in the history of American politics.
That is the most honest thing he said during the campaign.
Yes, he gave it away. He absolutely gave it away. Let's go back to the beginning of the year, 2020, and the political primaries. Do you remember the strange happenings in the Iowa Democratic caucus where they went, I don't know, weeks, months, they couldn't count the votes because of an app? They did the voting by an app, and we reported about who created the app. We got burned and, laughed at and everything because we revealed the shenanigans involved in that app. But this is how the election started. Mysterious startup Shadow. Who forms a company and says, let's call it Shadow?
See, Shadow. He's going to talk about who formed it.
Here we go. Seth Klarman, the billionaire behind the Times of Israel.
Seth Foreman, the billionaire behind the Times of Israel. Let's just do a jump back, catch that again.
Says, let's call it
How come it doesn't want to go back?
In that app. But this is how the election started. Mysterious startup Shadow. Who forms a company and says, let's call it Shadow?
Seth Klarman, the billionaire behind the Times of Israel.
They know all this, right?
Behind who?
The Times of Israel.
Oh. Well, what a quinky dink. We'll go to number 14. It's a Nevada poll worker swears an app.
This is boring. Everybody's seen this. Let's jump ahead.
Voters. Now, this was to do that election. They didn't who were
another screen on the people.
You're absolutely right, Matt. But I think what we're going to find out here is that these things of bringing in illegal immigrants and registering them to vote, dead people voting, all of these old tricks of the trade, things that Democrats have been doing for 200 years.
Yeah.
This is old stuff, old school. That is going to pale in comparison to the real crime that took place, and that is an electronic switching of votes via software. That, when this comes out,
All right, so we've been talking about the watermark, which is one aspect of this. He's going to go into detail about the software now, which is another aspect. So it looks like it's not just going to be one big massive thing of evidence. There's going to be multiple big things of evidence.
Size, the scale, the scope of the rigged elections, and it's not just going to be the Trump election. If we pursue this far enough, we're going to find out how many elections in this country have been rigged for years and how many countries around the world have had their elections rigged by American intelligence agencies. That's where I think this is going. Whether they blow the lid off this thing and expose it to the whole world, I don't know. Because if they do, hold on, because you will have revolutions in multiple countries if, let's just say, Emmanuel Macron is exposed as being the puppet of a cabal. Can you imagine that? He used to work for the Rothschilds. If you go country by country and you show that this cabal was manipulating elections and taking control of countries, I think that's the really big scandal. Now, I want to bring up something here. Next one is number from the Financial Times. What can Silicon Valley expect from Joe Biden? Okay, I think it's what Joe Biden expected from Silicon Valley. Should be the headline. But the reason that we're showing you this article is that former Google CEO Eric Schmidt talked about leading a new technology industry task force in the White House.
All right, so we're going to hear now that Eric Schmidt, most people probably familiar with who that is, Biden is supposed to tap him to be the leader of technology industry in the White House. Surely most people understand how that might not go good for us, right?
Yeah, that's a huge problem.
Yes, this article detailed that Joe Biden has hired both Jessica Hertz, who's the former Associate General Counsel at Facebook, and Cynthia Hogan, who's the former Apple
former counsel at Facebook,
Vice President for Government Affairs, to be...
Who was the other one?
And Cynthia Hogan, who's the former Apple Vice President for Government Affairs, to be in a transition team. And part of this is going to be led, according to this article, Eric Schmidt, the former Google chief executive. He's been a big fundraiser, and now they're saying he's going to lead a new technology industry task force in the Biden White House. If he does end up taking the White House in January, Eric Schmidt, the former head of Google, will be doing the job basically of much of our Jared Kushner task force, controlling the data and actually manipulating it for America's use.
So he called the team that's doing that right now the Jared Kushner task force. I've never heard anybody label that data manipulation group as being the Jared Kushner task force, but Edward did.
All right, now we're going to show you some things about Eric Schmidt from Google. The next one is that the former CEO of Google has applied to become a citizen of Cyprus. Now, wait a minute. Edward, you just told me that he's going to be on the Trump transition team.
Well, it's a standard now in U.S. government
Biden
for our officials to have dual loyalty.
Yeah, you got to have dual citizenship.
Yeah, Biden.
Not Trump. I don't know why he said that.
Just a slip of the lip.
Dual citizenship. So he actually applied for this in
So you have a
October.
place to escape to
Just go to
in the
APAC,
event that you get caught?
Yes, and of all places, Cyprus. Because it just so happens only a week ago, we were talking about Cyprus being a special haven.
Just so happens, coinky-dink, another coinky-dink, Rick would say. And we were covering how Cyprus is this haven for these people.
For those who wanted to be involved in, let's say, business that wasn't totally above board.
You mean money laundering?
Yes, number 17. This was actually an email, April 22nd, 2014, an email from Devin Archer, who was Hunter Biden's business associate. He's now facing prosecution for defrauding.
This email tells you nothing, and it really doesn't. It's got nothing.
Indian with the registered to launder money places to become a citizen.
I mean,
that's a mystery.
Think about how much control he could have in a small country like Cyprus. I mean, it's not that big a country, and you come in there with that big a stick as he does. Think about what he can do in that country.
I don't think he plans to live there. I think he's looking for a place to escape to in the event that there is an uprising in America, like a populist people's uprising, and people start hunting down these technology barons who have stolen the republic from them.
And it's also a place where he can do these type of things, these kind of clandestine things, just like when with the Ukraine. They use Ukraine to do certain things, and because they can get away with it there.
Yeah, they're outsourcing their criminal operations.
It's just easier to maneuver, like
offshore criminality.
Exactly.
That's really what it is.
Well, you need some place to set these, meetings at.
Matt, this next one, General Thomas McInerney, whom I've interviewed here on True News in the past. He recorded an interview with Steve Bannon days before.
You said something McInerney? Is that a relation to the other person? Did you catch that, brother?
McInerney? I think
McInerney?
I think it's a different name.
All right.
For the election. I did not see it until over the weekend. General McInerney discussed the use of a CIA election manipulation tool, actually two tools, identified as SCORECARD and Hammer. Let's watch the video.
SCORECARD and Hammer. Keywords. Ding, ding, ding. Boom. Boom. Pay attention. Those are big keywords. Here's some details.
And then we'll talk about it.
I want to go to Hammer. Hammer was the single most important and the single most sophisticated, basically, system that came up after 9/11 for really intelligence or counterintelligence about radical Islamic jihad and the ability to monitor that. Is that how the beginning of this started? Was a foreign surveillance system that allowed the national security and intelligence apparatus to watch our enemies. Is that how this thing started?
That's how it started, Steve. Very sophisticated, very, very capable. And the fact is, it was then adopted with the software packages like on your iPhone to the voting business. And it was to be used, and it was used in foreign countries. And so it was then moved over into the CIA, and they started looking at U.S. citizens. That is illegal. The CIA cannot look at U.S. citizens, and only the FBI with the proper FISA warrants, et cetera. Sydney knows all about this. You know all about this. And it is extremely important that this was taken out of the CIA when the Obama administration left. They used some kabuki to get it out. They still have it up and running. We know where it is located. We know it's active tonight. It's active. They've been looking at a whole host of things, as has the DNC, using false IPs. And they are looking around, and they are trying to set up this voting thing that happens on Tuesday night. It's going to look good for President Trump, but they're going to change it. And that's the danger that America and everybody must realize.
I just want to mention, we got about 2 minutes here. In the next segment, Sydney and I are going to drill down on this a little bit more, and we're going to talk about some polling other things, but hopefully get you back before the end. Dennis Montgomery. The last time the audience heard about Dennis Montgomery, he was being rounded up at his house. He had 47 hard drives, I think he had taken from Fort Meade. How does Dennis Montgomery fit into this story?
He's a genius, and he loves America. Dennis invented him. Dennis invented SCORECARD. He's the programmer that made all
So SCORECARD, it's the software.
this happen, and he's on our side, and at great personal risk, as well as he hasn't benefited financially from it. He is an absolute genius, and so he's extremely important to what's going on. It would have happened in 2016, Steve, except something happened to it that night when the Obama crowd and the Democrats tried to use it. I can't talk about that.
What is Montgomery trying to tell us? What is the message we need to hear today?
Well, he's telling us right now, Steve, that we are on the verge of being compromised through cyber warfare, of which he is a master of, the most brilliant person in our country on cyber warfare. And they have used this. They moved it from the intelligence, a very highly secure program, and they've moved it from there over to political treachery. And that's what it is. When they moved it out of the CIA, they moved it for their political use, as they have politicized the intelligence community, as we saw in the Russian hoax, and what they've done to General Flynn. All these things are on this force that you and Sydney have been talking about that want to change America from what it is. It goes back to the Electoral College, to the Supreme Court. All these things are bundled to change America from being a democratic republic to a totalitarian regime. That means a socialist country, which the next step is communism. And that's why there can be no agreement between this Democratic Party and the Republican Party. One choice is freedom, one choice is communism. It's that simple.
Do you understand what General McInerney just said? That the Obama team was using an election software program designed for the CIA. And he said they tried to use it in 2016, but something happened, and the general said he couldn't talk about it. I'm going to tell you what came to my mind. On election night,
they're going to play this off like it wasn't used in 2016, but I just ask everybody to remember what election it was in 2016, and it was Trump versus Hillary. So who's to say that it wasn't used to get Trump voted in? I don't really think many people wanted Hillary. I don't think anybody wanted either one of them, just like we don't want either one of them right now. But they're going to play it off like it wasn't used in the Trump election, and there's no proof or evidence of that.
Many of you will remember. Do you remember the vote counting stopped in Pennsylvania? I'm talking about 2016, somewhere around midnight. And I remember that night praying between midnight and 2 a.m. Eastern, because my spirit, I just felt this heaviness, that something evil was taking place. And then it broke, and the vote counting started again, and President Trump won, and suddenly Donald Trump was the surprise, surprise in terms of the rest of the world, the surprise winner.
Sounds to me like the software was
presidency.
used, and that's what you sensed, Rick.
When General McInerney just said, something happened, I can't talk about it, they tried to use it in 2016, that's what came to my mind. That was what was going on election night when the vote counting stopped in the state of Pennsylvania.
He's saying that this software was used. So it was used in 2016. Right? So he's talking out of both sides of his mouth. Understand that, everybody. Pay attention. See? This side, this side.
They used it this year. That's why the votes
They fixed the bugs.
Now, Edwards got some late breaking news that just came out. This is really important. Listen to what just happened.
I'm getting an update right now. We're getting a
breaking.
That CNN is
breaking.
Biden. And Real Clear Politics, who was another one of the websites to make early calls, has taken back Pennsylvania from Biden. This is huge. If this is correct, that means
Biden is no longer the winner.
Breaking live on Rick Wiles' program.
Of Arizona or Pennsylvania?
That means he doesn't have 270.
He doesn't.
No, he doesn't.
We're getting the confirmation on this so we can share. Again,
You heard, everybody? Breaking. Trump, Biden doesn't have the 270.
This is breaking right now on social media. So it's
what this reminds me of? 2000, well, the year 2000 with Florida when they called it with Gore, and CNN had to take it back.
Well, they had just announced it on Saturday. They're going to have to rewind the whole thing.
Look, I'm happy for this, right? Because I want a fair election. But what the media has done.
Yep, that's CNN right there. See Arizona see Arizona here, Rick, on the CNN map.
Yes,
It's not blue or red. It's not blue or red. Arizona has been pulled from Joe Biden.
Also, Attorney General William Barr has just authorized a federal investigation into voter fraud.
Breaking. Everything's popping off. So Arizona's been pulled, and we're going to see all the different websites now. Pay attention, everybody. This broke on Rick Wiles' True News.
Yes,
right after
he just announced it.
Well, but this legitimizes.
That's why they just flipped those two states.
Oh my goodness, this is huge. He's legitimized the claims of fraud. You wouldn't be investigating nothing. Okay,
why
this is huge.
Well, listen.
Why would CNN, proud, arrogant CNN, why would they backtrack on Arizona if they didn't know something big's coming down?
And why did we see reports of the National Guard sent to all these states? Because if you announce that Biden is president, Netanyahu calls in, congratulates him, CNN, Fox is saying, he is the president, and then you take it back, what do you expect to happen to the streets of America?
Breaking. Breitbart. See? Breitbart. This name is going to come up, everybody. Breitbart. Breaking.
You're going to see, Matt, we're going to see civil unrest in this country.
There's no doubt about it, Rick.
Okay, I have
Breitbart, yes, this actually, I'm looking on mine. Associated Press is reporting what Breitbart is reporting. Associated Press is reporting Attorney General William Barr has authorized federal prosecutors across the United States to pursue substantial allegations of voting irregularities.
Wow. Praise the Lord. Look, we don't credit this Republican Party. We don't credit President Trump. Thank you, Lord.
This just changed as we're
everybody
live streaming.
Woo! Exciting times.
This is happening right now in real time.
This is Real Clear Politics. I believe there it is right there. Real Clear Politics has reduced Biden and Harris
Look
to
at that.
259.
Is Netanyahu going to
not
take
the
it back?
president-elect.
Yeah, what do they do with all these congratulations?
Resend it, CNN.
Resend
Biden, back it up, buddy.
He's underneath. He's no longer president-elect.
Hey, BB, you got to have to take that tweet back from Obama.
Well, at least Vladimir Putin and some other world leaders had enough sense not to congratulate Joe Biden.
What does that say for Putin, though? What does that say to this man who would not step over? Or geez,
they were spying on U.S. and they knew that the Democrats had cheated.
Wow.
Look, the Russians have already been bamboozled by the Bolsheviks. They know how it works.
If you get the biggest story, we know they didn't get it wrong. They were involved in the conspiracy here. But if you get the biggest story in the world wrong, what kind of rating should you get on NewsGuard? Is this a big whammy for their credibility? Pretty much every news
might be a
outlet.
news
let's put number
whammy.
Don't whammy sound.
21 on the screen. And this is a data scientist. I don't know anything about her. Sarah
So we got
Inglesfield.
data scientist with the check mark. Notice the check mark next to Sarah Engelsfield.
Partisan. She doesn't support President Trump. She came out actually because the data from a proprietary software called Edison that the New York Times used to tabulate votes and report on votes on election night. Well, those were made public. And what she started doing was going through the data, as a data analyst would, and saying some of these vote counts don't add up. And again, this is the New York Times data coming from the state. Specifically, we have on the screen, if we're able to make it a little bit bigger control, the first one is Michigan. Now, what you're seeing on screen, we'll wait for the control. Control, have it up while I'm talking. What she has done is she actually has the voter tabulations from election night. This is 11:31 and 48 seconds out of Michigan. She's showing again
The votes are to the left.
The votes to the left under the votes category. She's showing that at 11:31 there was a vote for 4,574,555. That magically jumped. This is in Michigan. Jumped 149,772 votes in 5 seconds.
5 seconds?
And less than 6,000 of them were for Trump. Now, it's interesting. She's saying this is a software glitch going on here. All right, the next one we're looking at, this is number 2 from the same data scientist, Sarah Engelsfield, and using the New York Times data. This is Virginia now. What she's showing here, software glitch in Virginia. At 4:42 a.m., we counted 3,368,181 votes. Oh, wait, at 5:12 a.m., no, we've counted 3,199,165 votes.
It went down? That's not possible. They're making it so obvious, people. This is like kindergartners can see.
Why was there a discrepancy with the vote here?
The votes went down?
They went down.
That's not possible.
That's very, very weird. And this, again, is the official data the New York Times provided.
Because Trump was leading at that time.
Did several 100,000 people call the courthouse and say, I don't take my vote back. I don't want to vote?
Oh, we certainly know they weren't like most of the Democratic voters who were dead before they vote. Because look here, this is
that was
from
funny.
Their data from.
I want to rewind that. You know, Edward doesn't get the credit that
actual voters who are dead before.
Take my vote back. Several hundred.
Let's give Edward the credit that he deserves here.
1,000 people call the courthouse and say, I don't take my vote back. I don't want to vote.
Oh, we certainly know they weren't like most of the Democratic voters who were dead before they vote. Because look here, this is right from their data from actual voters. This is supposed to be nonpartisan.
Hold on, Edward gets.
You know what they did? They took votes from Trump counties.
Yeah.
You know, over the weekend, I was looking at Florida counties. Do you know we had one county here in the state of Florida that went 85% for Donald Trump? Wow.
Well, I gotta believe
there were a number of counties here in Florida that went 70 to 85% for Donald Trump.
Well, you know, what's funny, though, Rick, is that the Democrats aren't alleging any fraud on the Trump side. Think about that for a moment. President Trump got more votes than Barack Obama, okay, in 2008. And they're not alleging it was fraud. Those are real votes at a minimum, because we're now looking at as possible votes were shifted. Not just possible. A data scientist says it's probable based on these weird anomalies.
So 58,000 people would show up at a Trump rally, and then 30 people would show up at a social distancing rally for Biden, but Biden won.
But the thing that really struck me was the amount of votes that were different from a Senate race to a presidential race.
Oh, sure.
Where it was like 80,000 less for the Senate race, but all those that were discrepancy were pro-Biden, were plus Biden.
Yes.
That doesn't make sense.
But on the Republican side, they were
winning, and Trump was losing.
Well, typically the vote total for President Trump and the vote total for the Republican candidate for Senate was almost identical. It was a very small spread.
Yes.
But on the Democratic side, a huge spread. Now, that's just not normal.
That shows like
when people go in to vote,
voting, yes.
They vote for the top offices. Now, there is a fall off. As you go down the ballot, you get down to the smaller county, city, district. I mean, seriously, okay, here in Florida, we elect mosquito control officers.
We don't even know the name of what they do. But
you know who I voted for? Some guy named Buck.
Yeah, I did vote for him.
I voted for Buck too.
Because Doc said anybody named Buck knows how to kill mosquitoes. So that's all I know about
Buck
the
got
guy.
my vote too.
All right, but what I'm saying is that it's normal as you go down the ballot, people start just skipping offices because they don't know anything about them.
But they do Senate,
but
they
at the
do
top,
House.
for
Yes.
Senate, Congress, governor, they vote, and usually they vote party line.
Exactly.
So it's unusual that the Democrats had this huge spread between Biden and their Senate candidate.
We mentioned Michigan and Virginia. There's one other state that Sarah Eaglesfield, the data scientist, pointed out. It was Arkansas. Okay, so with Arkansas, she said, even the unsuspecting states managed to lose and find 12,000 votes somehow. Now, she says here, looking at you, Arkansas, I'm not sure how this is just expected or whether it's down to more glitches. She said, whatever the numbers are, 2020 election makes no sense. Now, what she's referring to is, you can notice here, between the number 304, it's on the left, entry, and the 307 entry, do you see that the votes?
Oh, it went down and up.
Yes, it went down and up. 7:10 p.m. in Arkansas, we had 1,212,930.
The old down and up. This makes no sense to me.
5 votes. Well, that went down to 1,207,938 votes. Then again, it went down a little bit further, 1,207,944.
So was
and then back up. Well, the magic.
Was
it's
this
magic,
the
right? They
same
found some
in
votes.
these states, Virginia and Arkansas? Was it the same computer software being used?
Yes, for reportedly, it was the same software, a specific software called Dominion. And we know that.
Ding, 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 ding. We're hitting all of our keywords, everybody. There you go. Dominion.
This, because it turns out the same lawyer who helped General Michael Flynn, President Trump's national security advisor, the first man to be railroaded out of the Trump administration and be prosecuted
for the Russian collusion.
Well, she helped him get off, and now.
So Flynn is this big, huge Q-tard guy that they absolutely love and worship.
She has gone heads deep into Dominion, specifically the voting software used by the Democrats in these swing states, and 27 states total.
There's a lot of senior Democratic Party people related to the Democratic Party who are connected to Dominion. I mean, it's infested with Obamaites, people married to or related to senior Democratic officials. There's something really suspicious about this Dominion software. Hey, we've got...
Imagine the software that's used to select who is elected is named Dominion. So I guess whoever would control Dominion would control who is in office. This is right out of like a James Bond bad written episode movie.
We get thousands of people watching us right now live as we're streaming live, and it's what is it, over 8. Do you all want us to stop so you can switch over to Fox News and watch Tucker Carlson, or do you want us to keep telling you the truth? Which one do you want to do?
You're not going to hear this on that station, I guarantee.
Have you given up on Fox News yet? Are you done with it? I hope so, because I've had to put up with it for over 22 years. I've had to listen to conservatives tell me, Rick, you know, if what you say is true, it would be on Fox News. I heard that for 22 years. Now have you figured out they had you for 22 years? Have you figured it out now?
Look, they'll just stop and pull what they're broadcasting if they don't like it.
Yes.
Like
you know, and I'm going to tell you something right now. All right, a lot of you are switching to Newsmax.
We keyed in on Newsmax earlier, pointing that out. He's going to tell you about Newsmax. Pay attention. He knows who Newsmax is.
Newsmax has been around for a long, long time. If you go back into the 90s, Matt Drudge, Newsmax, WorldNet Daily, Alex Jones, and True News, we all got started.
All right, that deserves a rewind and a slow down.
And you didn't take the...
Let's really soak that in, people. He's laying it down for you. We need to hear this.
They don't like it.
Yes.
Like
you know,
McNamara today.
and I'm going to tell you something right now. All right, a lot of you are switching to Newsmax.
Oh.
Okay? Newsmax has been around for a long, long time. If you go back into the 90s, Matt Drudge, Newsmax, WorldNet Daily, Alex Jones, and True News, we all got started at about the same time.
What do you think about that group of channels, brother?
Oh, I gotta... They're basically all shills.
They're shills.
Didn't take the trip to Israel.
He didn't take the trip to Israel, but I guess everybody else did. So out of that group of people that Rick just listed, his news organization, this True News, is playing the news from a Christian angle. The other channels don't. So he's the odd sheep in this. He couldn't go to Israel with the rest of the crew because that would have given him away. So he had to sit that one out. But he did go to Davos. All right, so he doesn't miss all the big events. But he had to skip the trip to Israel that everybody else got because that would out his organization. He would lose his credibility, right?
Without a doubt.
I didn't drink the Kool-Aid. I didn't sell my soul. I've stayed independent for 22 years.
You've been dependent on God alone.
Yes, I trusted God every step of the way. Newsmax, I thought in the early days, was a good organization. The founder, Chris Ruddy, I thought was a straight shooter. Until I saw a picture of him in the Palm Beach Post newspaper playing golf with Bill Clinton. And then I realized it was just professional wrestling.
Mm.
That they were staged fights because Newsmax and the Clintons were enemies.
Yeah.
Okay? Well, why would they be playing golf together? Because it's all rigged. The conservative news media is controlled opposition.
I'm sorry, I was muted. I was muted. Did you get that, everybody? Let's go back. Let's get that one again.
Hang on, I gotta play it. Victory charge.
Okay. Okay? Well, why would they be playing golf together? Because it's all rigged. The conservative news media is controlled opposition. Okay?
Oh.
So this is what I've seen in my 22 years.
We got to give him the winning bell. You got it 3 times there. I'm sorry, everybody, if it's too loud.
I started in 1999, or actually 98 is when I started. Saw the Drudge Report, then Newsmax. Then Newsmax brought on General Alexander Haig and put him on the board of directors, and they got some investment money, some deep state connections started coming into Newsmax. People. This was way back in the early 2000s.
Because they're going to use it as a propaganda tool.
Yes. Then WorldNet Daily, which is totally Zionist, completely Zionist. InfoWars, Breitbart. Where was Breitbart started? In a meeting with Netanyahu and Andrew Breitbart.
Netanyahu and Andrew Breitbart. He's going to repeat it. He knows how each one of these organizations were created. He was created at the same time. He just gave you all the key dates.
In Israel.
In Israel. That's where Breitbart News started. Then there was the Glenn Beck era. Oh my, everybody.
Anybody remember the Glenn Beck era? I do.
Christians, pastors, we got to go. We got to fawn over Glenn Beck. He is the leader of the Christian movement. He's the conservative spokesman now. Oh yeah, I listened to that too. Then it was Bill O'Reilly.
This is the list,
then it was
everybody.
Sean Hannity.
Paying attention?
Then Tucker Carlson. Of course, the whole Fox News thing. And now
back to Newsmax. And that's where Giuliani was. He was on Newsmax. So we're back to Newsmax. Rick's right on.
And all these conservatives and Christians are running back. It's like they just discovered Newsmax. No, go ahead and get sucked into it. And 5 years from now, you're going to figure out that you've been had again.
He warned you. We are warning you. Right? The warnings are out there. That's all we can say. Like,
I invite you to get serious and
not
back True News.
You're part of that group.
Back us. We've been loyal. We've been independent. We've been faithful.
Back us. Send us your money.
Listen to this. Look at this guy's face.
You want to talk about consistent? You go with Yahawashi News Network. That team over there has been putting out consistent, actual truth, calling out the liars and deceivers. They don't need financial backing, but they do need your support. They need shares. They need likes. They need you to let other people know where the truth can be found.
And we're not selling out. We're here. And we need your support. Stop running after these fake conservative news organizations. It's all controlled opposition.
Look,
they're using you.
There's Coke and Pepsi for a reason. They're going to say the same thing. It's going to kill you. When we go on trips, right? When we would travel with the president, we would be in the same room with CNN.
When we travel with the president, and we're in the same room as CNN. Like this, I'm going to slow him down for this section because he lays it out there too.
Fox. They all are together. They all play together. They all drink together. They all laugh at the president.
How did Fox News treat us at Davos?
Oh, and when we go there,
like we had leprosy.
They look at us. Look, because we are there with them. We're right there in the same room in the same bus, and they look at us with disdain, and they snarl on. Yes. Yeah. But you know why? Because they know we're not bought off. That's why. That's why.
And the whole news world, including Fox News and CBN
There's another big
News.
one, CBN News. So I see certain channels out there that all they do is regurgitate CBN clips. That is nothing but a propaganda machine. That Christian Broadcasting News, that's where Rick came from. So if you're seeing people just spewing CBN clips over and over and over again, they work for Rick.
Oh, yeah. They all ganged up on us and attacked us at the beginning of this year. All of them. CBN too. All of them. Don't trust any of them. They're all Zionist-funded operations. Okay, so I want to show you some stuff. We're going to play. You sure you don't want to go to Fox News and watch Tucker Carlson? You want us to continue? We got a lot of stuff here.
You know what Tucker does too? When he gives you a hard-hitting report, he thanks his overlords for allowing him to do that.
Yeah. And then Fox buries it. They don't talk about the important things said on their network.
Remember Sean Hannity didn't even mention the laptop.
Nope.
He just spent an
Tucker
hour.
Carlson signed off last week and said, hey, Hunter Biden's been my close friend for years, and I'm not going to talk about him anymore.
Hunter Biden, Tucker Carlson's best friend for years. He's not going to talk about him. So Rick does give away a bunch of goodies when you listen to him and understand what he's saying.
Okay, well, why didn't you tell us earlier, Tucker, that you were close friends with the Bidens? Why didn't you disclose that a lot earlier? And you got the memo, didn't you, Tucker? Zip your lips and shut up.
Oh, when this mysterious package got stolen? That's time. Your time's up.
Well, I want to go back to January 2017, before the inauguration of President Trump. And the deep state had already launched their attack on him, just as we predicted in 2016. We said they're going to accuse him of being a Russian spy. We told our audience this is what they're going to do to President Trump if he wins the election. And so here we are. This video you're going to see, the president has not even been sworn in yet, but they had launched the attack, the Russia collusion. He's a puppet of Vladimir Putin. The Russians intervene in the election. And this is what Senator Charles Schumer of New York said was going to happen to Donald Trump because he was pushing back against the CIA and the intelligence agencies.
All right, because Rick is covering this topic, and this podcast or whatever is about the Bolshevik Revolution, you can start to make the connection that Rick Wiles, is the leader of the current Bolshevik revolution.
I was distraught right after the election, but I'm now actually invigorated by the challenge and our ability to succeed in this challenge.
Let me ask you, I don't know if you have seen this. I don't want to blindside you with this. This is the latest statement, latest tweet, as you were just saying, the president-elect's latest unsolicited pronouncement on the intelligence community. This was his tweet just a little while ago tonight. You see the scare quotes there. The intelligence briefing on so-called Russian hacking was delayed until Friday. Perhaps more time needed to build a case. Very strange. We're actually told, intelligence sources tell NBC News since this tweet has been posted, that actually this intelligence briefing for the president-elect was always planned for Friday. It hasn't been delayed. But he's taking these shots, this antagonism, this taunting to the intelligence community.
You take on the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday at getting back at you. So even for a practical, supposedly hard-nosed businessman, he's being really dumb to do this.
What do you think the intelligence community would do if they were motivated?
I don't know, but from what I am told, they are very upset with how he has treated them and talked about them. And we need the intelligence community. We don't know what's going on. Look at the Russian hacking. Without the intelligence
community is the CIA that makes up these psyops, right? They run MSNBC and CNN, and they pay you.
Community, we wouldn't have discovered it.
Do you think he has an agenda to try to dismantle parts of the intelligence community? I mean, this form of taunting hostility.
Whether you're a super liberal Democrat or a very conservative Republican, you should be against dismantling the intelligence community.
Edward, what was the body language you noticed?
Oh, he was very, very pent up when they started talking about specifically the intelligence agency and what they wanted. If you notice, Senator Schumer started looking directly at the camera.
3 times.
3 times. Not at Rachel Maddow, which she'd done the entire interview. Very calmly opened up in that soundbite. He's talking very tense, looking at the camera almost as if he wanted to check in with somebody on the other end.
I don't know if he was looking at the camera. He may have been looking at his handler who was in the studio to make sure he said those words that he was given.
You know who else wanted to start looking into the intelligence agencies? JFK did.
Yes, and his predecessor, General Eisenhower,
he warned
us on his way out, his very last speech.
So just using the words JFK is to incite a thought of a president that got assassinated.
About the military-industrial complex.
The military-industrial complex. Well, what does the military-industrial complex look like? It looks like a fake election. That's what it looks like. President Trump, guys in control, I'm going to go to number 20. President Trump today retweeted a report about the Democrat Dominion software being used.
So this is from
Dominion, keyword, pay attention.
Shana Rian, OAN's White House correspondent, what she said, and this is what President Trump retweeted right before the program today, that the Dominion voting systems that glitched in favor of Joe Biden and was used in 29 states partnered with the Clinton Global Initiative and had on staff former employees of both Clinton Growth Initiative and Clinton Cash Cow Teneo. Now, Teneo is the D.C. lobbyist firm that has offices around the country, has employed everyone from Sarah Huckabee Sanders to Doug Band, who was President Clinton's right-hand man. This story was retweeted by President Trump. And it's funny, this was the exact story that General Flynn's lawyer, Sidney Powell, has been talking about all week. Actually began talking about before the election.
And so when General McInerney, in that interview with Steve Bannon, he mentioned Sidney Powell. As Edward said, she is General Michael Flynn's attorney. She's a great attorney, and she's been on this cabal takeover from the beginning, and in terms of what they did to General Flynn. She's called him out. She knows what they did. She knows that it was all set up. That's what
cabal takeover, all set up. Like
these guys, man, come on, just gold.
They did to General Flynn. They set him up. They set him up to entrap him to say something so he could be arrested. This is the way they operate.
And it was a warning signal to anybody else who steps out of line.
Absolutely. At the very beginning, the first couple of days of the Trump administration, we have a video of Sidney Powell talking about this software operation that really came from the CIA.
The CIA?
Does Barack Obama have a copy of it? John Brennan, a man who was a member of the Communist Party. How about James Clapper? Do you think that they have a copy of this software? Let's watch Sidney Powell.
Well, I'm delighted to hear that. I think there are any number of things they need to investigate, including the likelihood that 3% of the vote total was changed in the pre-election voting ballots that were collected digitally by using the Hammer program and a software program called SCORECARD. That would have.
There we go. This is courtesy of Fox News. Fox News had this person on, and they said Hammer and SCORECARD.
Amounted to a massive change in the vote that would have gone across the country and explains a lot of what we're seeing. In addition, they ran an algorithm to calculate votes they might need to come up with for Mr. Biden in specific areas. I think that explains what happened in Michigan, where the computer glitch resulted in a change of votes of about 5,500 in favor of President Trump, just in one of 47 districts. All those districts need to be checked for that same, quote, software glitch, end quote, that would change the result in Michigan dramatically. The same thing is happening in other states. We've had hundreds of thousands of ballots mysteriously appear solely for Mr. Biden, which is statistically impossible as a matter of mathematics. It can all be documented. We are putting it into materials that we will file in federal court, and we need to seek relief in multiple states to enjoin the certification of any election results.
Welcome back. I'm back with Sidney Powell, who is part of President Trump's legal team in contesting this election. Sidney, we talked about the Dominion software.
All right, courtesy Fox News.
I know that there were voting irregularities. Tell me about that.
That's to put it mildly. The computer glitches could not and should not have happened at all. That is where the fraud took place, where they were flipping votes in the computer system or adding votes that did not exist. We need an audit of all of the computer systems that played any role in this fraud whatsoever. And, you know, Joe Biden had it right. He said that he had the biggest voter fraud organization ever, and he didn't need people's votes now.
You're going to hear that clip so many times. It's going to be like that song from the 80s that you heard way too many times. That's going to be reused a lot.
Would need people later. They had this all planned, Maria. They had the algorithms, they had the paper ballots waiting to be inserted if and when needed. And notably, President Trump's vote in the blue states went up enormously. That's when they had to stop the vote count and go in and replace votes for Biden and take away Trump votes.
I've never seen voting machines stop in the middle of an election, stop down and assess the situation. I also see reports that Nancy Pelosi's longtime chief of staff is a key executive at that company. Richard Blum, Senator Feinstein's husband, significant shareholder of the company. What can you tell us about the interest on the other side of this Dominion software?
Well, obviously, they have invested in it for their own reasons and are using it to commit this fraud to steal votes. I think they've even stolen them from other Democrats in their own party who should be outraged about this also. Bernie Sanders might very well have been the Democratic candidate, but
they use it to steal from guys like Bernie. So that should enrage people from their own like left side as well, right?
Well said.
They've stolen against whoever they wanted to steal it from.
Incredible.
While that video was playing, we were checking the news media. I can't find any major news network that is reporting that Arizona was taken away from Joe Biden. What was the other state? Was it Pennsylvania? Nobody's reporting it, and nobody's reporting that Attorney General Barr has begun a federal investigation.
Yahawashi News Network is covering it. We are way before all that other CIA propaganda. So we took it right out of your mouth, and we are the first to be sharing it with the world in its proper perspective.
Fox News, there's nothing on their main site. There's nothing on CNN. Drudge doesn't have it.
Rick, their handlers haven't allowed them yet.
Yeah. That's right. This is a news coup. This is a news coup.
This is the real news coup. Right here, everybody. This is it.
Newscoup.com. And as soon as possible, we are going to launch newscoup.com. And we're going to make this the central place for information about the news media takeover
and we are
of this
the
election.
real newscoup.com.
Because they're playing the role of, think of, in a war, the news media is the Air Force.
Mm-hmm.
They're bombing, they're strafing, they're attacking positions, and their job is to come in and
soften them up.
And just soften up everybody. This is a news coup. That's what's taking place right now. Fox News is part of it. Think about what we're saying. Fox News is part of the news coup. CNN is part of the news coup. MSNBC
True
is part of
News
the news
is part
coup.
of the news coup.
They're running a political takeover of the United States of America. It's not just poor, sloppy reporting. It's deliberate deception. It's part of a political revolution in the United States of America to illegally unseat the President of the United States. They were unable to remove him. They were unable to defeat him in 2016. They were unable to force him into resignation. They couldn't impeach him. And so they stole the election from him. And what you heard Sidney Powell say is they stole it from Bernie Sanders, too.
That was a test run.
That's right. He legitimately won the Democratic nomination, but they stole it from him.
Probably two Democratic elections. 2016
Ooh,
probably
that's
beat
going to
Hillary,
piss
too.
off
So
the
what
left
happened?
as well because they were all big Bernie fans. They didn't want Biden.
What happens if the Bernie Sanders faction of the Democratic Party realizes that they got robbed too?
Well, they're going to go after the Democratic Party that cheated them. I mean, both parties will disintegrate if this is true. This is not just historic fraud. This is fraud that attempted to bring down the United States
And
of
we
America.
broke it on Yahawashi News Network.
Complicit because what do? They prime the public by saying he can't win. He can't win. He's 4% chance.
We have another really big story right now. In the state of Georgia, which has a Republican governor, and most of the office holders are Republicans, the Secretary of State of the state of Georgia is Brad Raffensperger. He's a Republican. He's in charge of the vote counting. The top Republicans in the state of Georgia tonight are demanding his resignation.
Oh, wow.
Including Senator Perdue and Senator Loeffler, who are now forced into a runoff. Something is really happening here tonight. Why are
I agree.
two Republican
there is something
senators
happening here tonight, Rick. Just not your setup.
tonight demanding the resignation of the Secretary of State of Georgia? Do they have suspicions that he's part of the coup?
Well, we've heard some interesting things about Atlanta specifically. And look, one thing is the Trump campaign needs to get much more effective about their messaging. This needs to be very clear what you're going to be putting into lawsuits. We are hearing reports of counties with more voters in them than registered voters. I mean, one county I heard about today, Gwinnett County, Georgia. Gwinnett County, Georgia. This is actually the statement you were just talking about, Rick. This is breaking from Henry Rogers, D.C., a reporter. Gwinnett County, Georgia might be one of the reasons they're asking for this resignation. That is a county that has 800,000 votes in it, but only 521,000 registered voters. There are other counties in Georgia. At the most here, this is one of the states you mentioned, Matt. Why are there a discrepancy between the vote for the senators and vote for the president?
That's another obvious problem when you have more votes than you have registered voters. It's really like kindergarten level. Like everybody should see this is voter fraud, but no, Trump's not even talking about it yet. But it's being released through these propaganda channels like Rick Wiles.
You're not going to hear any of this on the news stations because it's going against the narrative that they try to portray. And if you don't believe it, we're going to show you clips where they cut off Ms. McNary today in the middle of her press conference, laying all this out.
What are you looking at?
I'm looking at. He said the thing you can't say. It's like saying George Soros on Fox.
A McEnany.
I'm not even going to try.
Fox News. He is saying that there were illegal votes cast. This is a joint statement from the senators David Perdue and Kelly Loeffler. They're saying here, the management of Georgia elections has become an embarrassment for our state. Georgians are outraged, and rightfully so. We have been clear from the beginning, every legal vote cast should be counted. Any illegal vote must not. And there must be transparency and uniformity in the counting process.
Go down, look. It says, while blame certainly lies elsewhere as well, the buck ultimately stops with the Secretary of State. That's the Republican. That's why they're demanding his resignation tonight.
Well, we heard this by Ms. McNary today, and Fox cut her off right when she was saying this exact thing today.
Let's jump down to, this would be number 31.
Yes.
Let's go to number 31. Your old buddy Neil Cavuto.
Oh, good old Fox, Neil
Old
Cavuto.
Neil, he's not so good anymore. His true character is showing. His mask came off.
Or he was just, hey, listen, you want to keep working here, you're going to do what we tell you.
And so what does that mean about his character?
He's bought and paid for.
He likes that paycheck. Okay, so this is what happened on
today.
Fair and Balanced Conservative Fox News.
We want every legal vote to be counted, and we want every illegal vote to be...
Well, I just think we have to be very clear. She's charging, the other side is welcoming fraud and welcoming illegal voting, unless she has more details to back that up.
Whoa. I can't in good countenance.
Countenance, yeah, we just covered that. And so this is Rick's takedown of Fox and their coverage. So this is his standover. He's fair. He's impartial. He's not bought off. Fox News, bad.
I can't in good countenance continue showing you this. I want to make sure that maybe they do have something to back that up. But that's an explosive charge to make that the other side is effectively rigging and cheating.
Hey, wait a minute, Neil. CNN tonight just took back Arizona and Pennsylvania. Biden is not the president.
All right, so this is a breaking thing. CNN just took back. But we're not seeing this stuff on the sites, I guess. So something's going on. He's lying. The sites haven't changed, but it's being called out, supposedly like breaking as they're recording this episode.
Tonight. Hey, Neil, what are you going to do about this in the morning?
Yeah, where was the good countenance when you were calling the election for Joe Biden? Where was the good countenance when you were dedicating hours of time to Russiagate?
He needs to apologize tomorrow on air.
You mean like...
Oh, that was funny when what's his name came in. Oh, he needs to apologize.
Can you imagine the bus ride at Davos next year?
Yeah, up the mountain.
Yeah.
They did on Fox News when Newt Gingrich was censored for saying George Soros. Remember this episode?
A serious look.
Right? Speaker Gingrich, I know you have a final thought for us.
Yeah, look, the number one problem in almost all these cities is George Soros elected left-wing, anti-police, pro-criminal district attorneys who refuse to keep people locked up. Just yesterday, they put somebody back on the street who's wanted for 2 different murders in New York City. You cannot solve this problem, and both Harris and Biden have talked very proudly about what they call progressive district attorneys. Progressive district attorneys are anti-police, pro-criminal, and overwhelmingly elected with George Soros' money, and they're a major cause of the violence we're seeing because they keep putting the violent criminals back on the street.
I'm not sure we need to bring George Soros into this.
I was going to say you get the last.
Oh,
look at
so
his
bad.
face. He's like, can we play that again?
And her face. I mean, like, it's scripted. Like, she couldn't even keep a straight face with that.
Last word.
They keep putting the violent criminals back on the street.
I'm not sure we need to bring George Soros into this.
I was going to say you get the last word, Speaker.
He paid for it. I mean, why can't we just pass it back to millions of
He paid for it. I'm so retarded. Oh, that was gold.
I agree with Melissa. George Soros doesn't need to be a part of this conversation.
Okay. So it's verboten.
So awkward.
It's so awkward.
We're going to move on.
We're going to move on.
Historic day at the White House. We covered it from stem to stem, stem to stern. For major change.
Stem to stem.
Are you done with Fox News? Are you done with it? I hope you are. Cut the whole thing off. Don't even watch 5 minutes of any of them thinking, well, there's still some good people. No, the whole thing is corrupt. Walk away from it. Look, I'm going to set a date. We're going to shut down our account on Facebook and Twitter. I'm not going to use this stuff anymore.
All right, so there is something brewing. From the shills that I pay attention to. There's this shut down Facebook movement that I'm starting to hear about. Shut down Twitter. So just keep that in the back of your head. I have a feeling we're going to hear more about that.
I'm not going to participate in it anymore. Deplatform Facebook. Deplatform Twitter. Stop using this stuff. You've got to break away from it. This is a revolution.
A revolution that
we
he
have
wants
to break
you
away from.
to have no way of communicating with other people.
Yeah, you're not allowed to be on the top social networking sites like Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, all these places he's saying you got to exodus from. And guess what his where he wants you to go.
TrueNews.com.
TrueNews.com.
From it. Instead of Twitter, go to Gab. If you haven't set up an account on Gab, do it. All right. We're going to shut our account down on Twitter. I'm not going to participate with it anymore. Those of you who are watching us on Facebook, look, TrueNews.com. TrueNews.com. That's us, TrueNews.com. You don't have to watch us on Facebook. We're going to shut it down.
There's no chat on.
We're not going
website.
to recognize them anymore.
Right? People like the chat. They love the chat, you know?
Exactly.
They are the enemy.
And they tell you they're enemy.
Yes, they tell you that you're trash. All right, so get it through your head.
You are
They
trash.
think you and I are trash.
I don't know why he doesn't
using them.
So Gab.
If millions of people.
Gab was like the site that supposedly all the like crazy right-wing terrorist fake things took place, right? There's another site now that they got. It's called Parler. I'm putting our stuff up on there. I don't know if it's going to get any traction, but if Rick was a true truth seeker and he really wanted to get his message out, he would realize that you need to put your content everywhere, right? Not just in one website or one spot. That's the absolute worst way to market yourself.
Well, we can't bang on him because he actually does have a website where, like, we're watching the video right now from his site. So we don't have our own site with the bandwidth to host videos and stuff like that. So he does have us on that one. He can send people to his website, and we can't do that. So,
good points.
Will just shut down their accounts. Their stock is going to plummet. They might even go bankrupt. Wouldn't that be an awesome day? Facebook closes up, Twitter goes out of business. The only reason they're going is because tens of millions of conservatives are using them. Just cut it out in one day.
Look, the Senate, the House, they bring them there, and they sit there, and they don't answer questions. They never answer questions.
They think they're more powerful than the government.
They are.
Well, they are.
They are more powerful. They need to be taught a lesson.
But they're only powerful because we empower them.
Yes.
That is the reason they're powerful.
Yeah.
So it's
and
like
anyone else that makes
husband.
another website, they just buy it and shut it down. So what are we going to do, Rick? Are we not allowed to talk to other people? Is that what they want? Like,
see, that's the PSYOP play that I see going is, so you delete your Facebook, your Twitter, and all these things, and then you don't have access to the information that you did before, even though that it's been controlled and censored and all that kind of stuff. So you have less information when you do leave. It's a tough one. So we want to know what's going on, but at the same time, we want to have a platform that's not censored, where we can share truth and not allow the enemy to put a bunch of propaganda all over it, lies and disinformation. So there is definitely an info war going on. When Alex Jones, started out, that was a great keyword, because it is this control of data. It's the control of the truth and who has access to it. That's super critical. It's an important thing for truth seekers that we have access to it.
If you're a conservative or Christian and you keep using Facebook and YouTube and Twitter, you're like a wife who's being beaten by a drunk, alcoholic, violent husband, and you just stay there. Because, well, he's got some nice sides. He's got a nice side. Sometimes he's nice, okay?
They won't lie to me again.
He's abusive.
Hey, it's the same thing with Fox
He's a
News and
psychopath.
CNN. It's the same thing when you're trusted
What I see
news
them
source
doing
out
right
there.
here is just trying to get as many people off and out of the game as possible. We understood that being part of the game, part of the war, required us to be out in public view and be able to be heard and, put out content that people would be able to get to. So as soon as you delete those accounts, if we were to delete our YouTube accounts right now, we would no longer have that reach. So they're just trying to get rid of the weak stragglers that are having a tough time right now. They just want you to give up.
Manipulate you daily. They tell you what you need to hear, not what you have to hear. We here at True News, we bring everything into picture.
Jesus Christ can set you free.
Don't run off to
That's what he
Newsmax
wants to say.
and think
Come
that
on,
they're
Edward.
your new shining
Jesus Christ. Well, they're Jesuits, right? They keep on talking about
the Society of Jesus, the Jesuit order, right? That's what they're
the people that made up that name of blasphemy.
Yeah, that's why I got blocked from True News Facebook, right? For I think I was calling them out, maybe having Jesuit ties, and gone.
Night.
They're just another digital reservation.
You're going to be disappointed, and you're going to find Chris Ruddy's a close friend of Bill Clinton. They play golf together. Okay, it's controlled opposition.
They can't say certain things. You know why? They have advertising budget to sell. They have ad revenue that will compromise that.
Yeah.
That's why
like you guys have the book.
You're only there to keep conservatives.
The Saving Liberty book or the video that the guy what's his name? There's Edward Salt. Matt, is his name Matt something?
It is Matt something.
The Matt something guy made the documentary Saving Liberty, all about the psyop that they ran with Israel, where they pretended to blow up the American ships so that they could go to war. Like, there's that psyop. They're profiting off that. And then Rick has his book that he's selling, right? So they do have, and there's probably people that are backing those projects, right?
Yeah, and they're probably making some decent change off of it too.
Believing something except the truth.
Yeah.
They'll never tell you the real truth. Now, I want to show you, I guess so much, we have so much, we could go another 2 hours. We can't do this.
It's almost over though.
I want to show you one positive thing out of Nevada.
This might be the end of it. That might, see what this thing is.
And a lot of citizens in Nevada are refusing to give up, and they're out front in front of the election boards, showing that they're upset, that they don't trust the vote counting. I'm going to show, this is number 38, and this is a video from, I don't know if it was today or yesterday, but listen to what these people are singing. Here it is.
Look at all these people with their Stop the Steal.
Stop the steal.
They're singing a song together.
Yeah, praise the Lord, hallelujah. They were singing the scriptures, right?
Yeah. So this is courtesy up here in the top right here. It says courtesy Twitter Joe Bartels. This was 11/8. This is one of these organized groups, people, all part of the PSYOP, and it is Rick Wiles True News that's feeding it. Right here, feeding it out to the people.
Power and majesty, praise to the King. Mountains bow down and the seas will roar.
That was so beautiful.
I hope
that little tear just fell from my eye.
People understand.
Edward laughing.
That the Church of God is threatened this very day.
What? No,
if
it's
this
not.
coup is allowed to stand,
Sorry.
they're coming after the church.
No,
I promise you, they're coming after the church. The next 2 to 4 years will be horrible.
You heard that
They're
from
coming
Rick.
after the church.
Bolsheviks coming after the church.
Yeah, if you got a Bible, if you believe in the Bible, they're coming for you. Look at his face.
Uh-huh. That's what I'm saying.
Communist revolution immediately murders
Christians.
What?
Yes.
Look at him. Come on, bro. Come on. Come on.
No, that's for reals.
He's getting real serious with this. Like, we're coming for you, Christians.
Yeah.
Wow.
Let's listen to it again.
Years will be horrible. They're coming after the church. Every communist revolution immediately murders Christians,
they hate
burns
Jesus.
churches. That's what happens. They kill the pastors. They imprison the church members. They burn the churches. It has happened in every communist revolution. This is a communist revolution. It is as anti-Christ as you can get.
Luciferian.
Antichrist, Luciferian. They use that a lot, and look at the look on his face. Yes, Antichrist, Luciferian. He's talking about killing Christians. It's see who this person is, people.
you go communism, but it's Luciferian. That's what it is.
Communism is the political arm of the Church of Satan.
That's
This is who he is supporting. He's part of that whole Alex Jones, Breitbart, Matt Drudge, that whole group. Church of Satan.
it's what it is.
So I want to jump down. There's some really important things you got to hear before we close it up for tonight. Let's go down to number 39. This was the New York Post. I saw this. The first story came out Saturday, and then it accelerated
so this
through
is,
the weekend.
I don't know. It's interesting. All it is a repeat of what we covered last night.
More names.
What's that?
A few different names.
Yeah, but it's generally this. He's getting rid of certain people. He's putting in other people. You know, his old yes men that weren't doing what he wanted are out. The new yes men are in. It's just more of that. So, is that enough coverage of this, brother?
I think we're pretty good. I'm sort of getting hungry.
All right.
But there's absolutely nothing that fills me up more than the truth.
All right. So, before I give up the screen share, can I just show the Snopes quick?
Sure. You didn't even laugh at my joke. I felt really bad there. Like, wow. It fell on my face.
I'm sorry, brother.
Where's the sound effect for that?
Wah, wah, wah.
No, I played a good one. It's more like, okay, you're good to go.
All right, so Snopes. This is like fact-checking type stuff. So going into Snopes, you know that what you can do is just flip the answer. And then they have a whole bunch of details that will actually lead you to the correct conclusions as well. So it's sort of funny when you use Snopes. Is there a hammer and scorecard operation to manipulate vote counts? Meh, false. But the origin of this. So now we're going to get all the details as to why it is actually the truth. In the days after news outlets called the 2020 U.S. presidential election that Joe Biden would be the 46th, the internet was flooded with various unfounded claims about voter fraud. One popular rumor concerned something called hammer and scorecard. While this rumor was wide-ranging, it basically held that a deep state supercomputer named Hammer and a computer program called SCORECARD were being used to alter the votes. So then they give all the sources for this. Now there's Hammer and Scorecard origins. It's actually HAMR, but commonly called Hammer. Traced to a man named Dennis Montgomery. They're gonna basically turn this into a personal attack against Montgomery, but the rest of the details are here. Let's see. Oh, actually, this is probably where Rick Wiles got some of his information. There are many reasons to take these claims with a hefty dose of salt. For example, the article does not explain among one of its many plot holes why this program was not used in 2016 to steal the election for Hillary Clinton. Well, no, it's because everything was set up to put Trump in place and to do #pull the rug.
That's right.
So it's got a whole bunch of information in here to actually, if you check these things and you come from a perspective where you can see things from a higher level, what you're going to see here is a whole bunch of other keywords that you can go research and see that, yes, this is the stuff taking place. So, Operation Hammer and Scorecard, I'm going to say checkmark green. You're going to hear a whole bunch about it coming up soon. Rumor alert, Dominion voting systems, fraud claims. So this is another. When were these things published? November 8th. So these things are just popping off. This one was published November 9th. Today is November 10th. So bing, bing, Snopes is on it. Claim various rumors alleging voter fraud focused on the electronic voting company Dominion Voting Systems. Origin. Well, we've heard all about this already in the information that we went through from Rick. But go ahead and check it out yourself, people. learn how to use Snopes to actually find the truth. And when they talk about the origin of something, they're going to give you links to things that you can check out, and then their response you'll see is the disinformation. The fact checkers are the disinformation sources there.
Well said. We can just flip it. Generally, we've if they put a fact below the YouTube video, like right now it says the AP is called the presidential race for Joe Biden. You know that it's actually Donald Trump that's won. If they put below here, no, the earth isn't flat, it's actually round. You know the earth is flat because they wouldn't go and take all the time to put the disinformation below every single video if it wasn't something that they were someone was paying them to lie to you about. We're in such a stupid reality right now. It's really
dumb.
Yeah, it's all gonna fall on its face. We're it's so limited now it's so easy to see where the lies are. Are you done? Do you want me to take it and finish this?
Yes, absolutely.
Great job, though. I know we went a little bit longer than we usually do, but we wanted to try to get as much out as we could, and we're not going to stop. We're going to keep, we're just going to keep doing this over and over and over. And we're going to make sure that everybody has a chance to see the truth, right? So when we go over here and we look at what, I don't know if everybody in the chat heard, what Secretary of State Pompeo had to say. This was pretty funny.
Hi. Is the State Department currently preparing to engage with the Biden transition team? And if not, at what point does a delay hamper a smooth transition or pose a risk to national security?
There will be a smooth transition to a second Trump administration.
Look at that smile. Look at that smile.
That was gold. That was gold.
Hi. Is the State Department currently preparing to engage with the Biden transition team? And if not, at what point does a delay hamper a smooth transition or pose a risk to national security?
There will be a smooth transition to a second Trump administration. Right? We're ready. The world is watching what's taking place here. We're going to count all the votes. When the process is complete, there'll be electors selected. There's a process. The Constitution lays it out pretty clearly.
It's so funny. Ladies and gentlemen on the other side of the screen, people watching this in the future, the lurkers, even though there's very few lurkers on my channel. I'm going to keep my channel going probably after we go back to the Awake Souls YouTube channel. But if you can't see through this madness, if you can't see joining us here, listening to our words and hearing our take on the true coup, something's wrong with you. This is an absolute kangaroo government, top to bottom. It's all a bunch of actors playing a phony game. The joke is all on us. This guy comes right out and says it. Yes, the transition for a second Trump administration is going to be smooth. They all know the game. They all know what's going on. That's how he's able. So we haven't had anything come out from the White House except for McEnany and what she said, which was cut off by all the major networks. So then this is coming from C-SPAN, which is an actual linked to the government type channel. And you've got the Secretary of State coming straight out saying Biden hasn't won anything yet. So I don't know if
of course he hasn't. It was just called by the media. And we were prepped before all this that the media doesn't call the election.
We got all that, right? So I guess we can quickly go to this article. I got this off of Parler, which everybody seems to be making fun of right now in the memes. But breaking. Operation SCORECARD CIA run vote theft. Software was running in every swing state. Glitches switched votes from Trump to Biden. And if you actually watch the live feeds, there's a couple channels that actually documented it. So they flashed the voting and the exact amount of votes that Trump had automatically, the next time they brought it up, it was completely reversed. And if you do the math, all the votes went from Trump to Biden, and they just kept doing it in real time, breaking. So it says here, 5 days ago, we published a breaking story that was originally uncovered by Dave, detailing the use of CIA-developed software to steal votes by intercepting voting machines and switching Trump votes to Biden votes. That the story is entitled Red Alert. Dems collude with the CIA to launch intelligence operation that alerts voting machine results in Pennsylvania and other swing states.
Alters.
It altered them. It switched them. What did I say? Did I say alert?
Yes.
My camera's in the way. Earlier today, it was discovered that the software glitch in Michigan had switched 6,000 votes from Trump to Biden. The glitch was discovered when an effort was made to manually review the ballots, revealing that thousands of votes were switched by the software. This was announced by the state GOP chairwoman, Laura Cox, who stated, in Antrim County, or does that say Antrim? In Antrim County, ballots were counted for Democrats that were meant for Republicans, causing a 6,000 vote swing against our candidates. The county clerk came forward and said tabulating software glitched and caused a miscalculation of the vote. Since then, we have now discovered that 47 counties used the same software in the same capacity. Antrim County had to hand count all of the ballots, and these counties that used the software need to closely examine their results for similar discrepancies. So 47 other counties in Michigan were using the same software. This means that the Michigan vote was stolen from Trump, and we are actually being subjected to a cyber warfare assault in America, being carried out by Americans. That's the main thing I want to put in here. It's not like Israel or China or any of these places. This is just straight up the Democrats running a fool, hacking stuff. Now we are learning that the Gateway Pundit, that the same software was used in all swing states, including, name them all, Jay, Minnesota, Arizona, Wisconsin, Michigan, Nevada, Georgia, and Pennsylvania. Am I right?
The swing states, yes, of course.
And I'm a Canadian, so I just try to do the best I can. The software is ominously named Dominion. Bum, bum, bum. The project to deploy this software is called both Project Hammer and Operation Scorecard. I'll put this in the chat just for people for later.
This is going to be one of those big recall hangouts at some point where it's going to be like, yes, we did call it first. Yahawashi News Network.
And in numerous, I'll keep going here. And it says in numerous counties in Georgia also use the software. This is turning into a massive scandal. Democrats thought this glitch would be enough to beat Donald Trump. They had no idea he would have the greatest landslide in vote totals in U.S. history, which they're actually admitting that he had way more votes than Obama did when Obama was elected president, right? They're not even denying that. That's the funny thing, is that the left aren't even denying that Trump had like an outstanding amount, like the most ever votes for him in history. But they say, oh, well, Biden somehow had more, which is so retarded because Biden's campaign, we might do a hangout and get into what he actually campaigned on if people forgot. So then they had to dump hundreds of thousands of ballots in the swing states they lost. So it's going to be really interesting. Not only did they have the so-called mail-in vote with the watermark, but now we've got the catching of them using this software glitch system, right? What are we calling it again? Operation Scorecard. And what was the other one?
Hammer and Dominion.
Dominion, yeah. So it's like watermark, hammer, a scorecard, like all these things. And to me, it just seems like it's piling up. And I think it's going to be crazy for us to see like the actual rug being pulled out from underneath most of these characters, right? Like, what do you think, Jay?
Well, I think our coverage of this is going to pop the bubble, and it's also going to make them look really bad because we have the overstand on it. But this is the psyop that they set up, and they're going to have to roll out. We're just waiting to see when Trump speaks to the nation and says what we say he's going to say, and then it should be on. Then it should be exciting.
Yeah, totally. So, excuse me. There's a good chance that Yahawashi News Network will be back on tomorrow. Hopefully for seeing some brand new stuff to go over. I really enjoyed tonight. Thank you, everyone in the chat. Most of all, thank you to you, Jason, for bringing forth the content and leading the great news network show. I'll give you the last words, and I hope to see everybody after they have a good night's rest and some healthy food and some exercise tomorrow.
Well, tomorrow is 11/11, which is one of these dates that we've been thinking, all right, this is one of those big occult days, 11/11. So I am just going into tomorrow anticipating something to cover Wednesday nights are a typical night for us to go live. So we're just going to plan on covering something tomorrow. And then after that, Friday the 13th is going to be another big look. So we do believe that we're coming into some hot breaking news, and we are going to take the lead and be the real news coup. Yahawashi News Network for all your truth.
That's a wrap. Thank you. Yahawashi News Network. Signing out. Stay classy. And stay truthful.